Welcome to Realiteen Talks. My name is Gary McGuey, high school practice leader for FranklinCovey Education. Each week, we're here to take on the real challenges of teen life. Let's talk. Our topic this week, social acceptance. Let's meet this week's panel. Today we have Mary Catherine, Emma, and Divine. Team, how's everybody doing? Welcome. So social acceptance sounds like a pretty grand topic. When we hear social acceptance, what are some thoughts? What comes to mind? Why are we even talking about this?
I feel like social acceptance could lead to thinking about a lot of different things. Of course, there's social media, there's how we interact with others. But when I think about it, it really comes down to how you feel within a certain group. And that could change wherever you are. Like the way I feel at school may be different from how I'm at church or just in different areas of my life. So I feel like how you feel others perceive you in a certain area, that would be my definition for social acceptance.
Yeah, I feel like social acceptance is what people think is that you have to fit into certain groups and like what she was saying, like religion and school and just like socially with your friends. Like you have to be able to fit into each what other people like and like to do and stuff like that.
Yeah, social acceptance, it's definitely it's definitely like a two-way street with it, because it's social acceptance of yourself and like how, like they said, like in your own area, but also with bigger things like religion or like the police issues or, you know, things like that where people differ, being tolerant of people who have different views than you.
So do we feel this term social acceptance, do we feel we need to bring this out more into the open these days? Does it need to be more prominently discussed? Your thoughts around that?
I feel like it's naturally being discussed. Like for me, I know that in middle school especially, I had a hard time. I go to a predominantly white school, and obviously I'm not white, but I had a hard time feeling like I fit in or that I was accepted with everybody. And I think it really came down to that and just me feeling alone in that space. And it took a lot for me to accept myself and from there have others accept me. But I think like even on social media, like on TikTok, maybe it's just my algorithm, but I've seen other people talking about their shared experience, and there's just that sense of not being alone, and that in itself creates community. So I feel like with humans, it naturally just comes up that we discuss things like this, but it's definitely with social media and the increase of apps like TikTok where you don't have to be perfect on it, it's more just talking about everyday life. I feel like that definitely has become more open as a topic.
I agree with what Divine was saying, that it's not something that like needs to come up. Like it just naturally comes up in conversations. It's just part of how life is, like especially with social media. And I feel like everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but when it comes to social acceptance, if you don't withhold like someone's standards is, I guess, the word you can use, then it's, oh, like, are you going to be friends with them? Are they not going to like you? And stuff like that.
Especially in our generation too. As much as we talk about like the social injustice or, you know, differences and accepting our differences on a social media platform, in real life situations, like people our age, I've noticed, are very cliquey. Like as much as we talk about the different groups, like we're really, really cliquey. Like if we find people who have our same beliefs or our same culture, and I think that's a human thing too, but we naturally gravitate to them.
I definitely,
I think, go ahead.
Well, in my school, we have like many different groups, I guess, that it's so cliquey. In high school, it's not just my school. I bet it happens at everyone's school.
Yeah.
Groups, and you can only hang out with your group. And if you're in one group, you don't like the other group. And I agree with what you're saying about that.
That's actually really interesting because I asked this question on my Instagram earlier on my spam about what people don't like that are socially accepted, and one person said cliques, and I feel like that comes up all the time, especially like you said in high school. And I mean, it naturally happens in life. It's okay for you to have a group of people that you consider really close friends, but I feel like the problem is when it's okay for you to not like other people or exclude other people just because of that group of friends.
Yeah.
There's a difference between just having close friends and just thinking of yourself as exclusive. And I mean, we've seen that even in movies like Mean Girls. They're so exclusive, nobody can touch them. And I feel like that's become socially accepted. But there's a difference, and I think it all lies in what your intentions are.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is there enough pain, I guess, I don't know what the right word is, at whether it's at school or in the community? Is this like something that many teens feel this is a challenge, this social acceptance, this piece around, and it's I mean, is the word tolerant, does it need to be stronger than tolerant? Is it valuing? I mean, I'm just curious from you guys, what are your thoughts around that?
I think that it all depends on what you think, because some people think that just seeing it and not having a negative reaction to it, like let's just take people with different sexual orientations. Some people think that just to see it and just say, oh, well, it's just whatever, and not have a negative or positive reaction to it is enough to be socially accepted. But then other people think that you should not only see it and be fine with it, but also to promote it and accept it and be a part of like rallies or walks. And I think some people have different, ways with that, because I guess personally, for me, as far as like race or sexual orientation or things like that, for us to just see it and be okay with it, that's enough for me. Like, I don't need someone to say, yeah, Black lives, everything, we should defund the police and all these types of things. I don't really need someone to take it that far, but just to not have a negative reaction to it is great. For me,
I think that's where I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
that's where the difference between tolerance and acceptance lies. I feel like tolerance is where you don't have a negative or positive reaction to it. And then acceptance is where you embrace whatever it is that's going on. So for me, whenever I was in middle school, the example that I gave, they were tolerant of me. Like nobody really, I wasn't bullied. So that's where they were tolerant, but I didn't feel accepted. And so that's where it moves in, where people start to include you, or they embrace you, or they want to hear about how your day was, things like that. That's where it lies between just being tolerant of something or someone and actually accepting them and embracing them.
Yeah.
I think Mary Catherine, you worded that perfectly, and Divine, I agree with you too.
Mm-hmm. That also goes back to yourself too, because you have to know that everybody's not going to be completely accepting of you, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with some people who are just tolerant, because there's a lot of people that will be completely accepting on social media and be barely tolerant in life, in like real life. And that's something I've seen like in school. Like I have a friend who is dark skinned, and she talks about all the time about how she's so frustrated because millions of people on Instagram say how beautiful dark skinned women are and completely vouch for them. But then in the real world, she gets called names. And she's like, I don't see the connect. And it's like, are people just being fake? And I was like, it's tolerance in real life, and then it's acceptance on social media, because no one wants to get badgered on social media. No one wants to get canceled, but you can't cancel someone in real life.
It's good stuff, guys.
I think she said everything that needed to be said.
I know.
There was no
setting
setting
down right now.
Beautiful. So let's bring this together here, and once again, our goal is to provide some tools, strategies, hope to our audience. And if you were to say, I mean, this is brilliant discussion here, power discussion, what would you say, what could be one or two concrete suggestions in order to work on this piece around social acceptance?
Well, for me, I've been in that position where I don't feel socially accepted, and I've also been in the position where I can help somebody else feel socially accepted. So as somebody who didn't feel like I was, I think it really all begins with you, because I mean, this is a cliche we hear about self-love and all of this, but it really is important. Like, what took me from being so frustrated and crying all the time in middle school to just being fine with who I am is that summer I really started to think about who I am and to find peace in myself. Because once you've done that, it's so much easier to make friends with people when they're making friends with the real you and not just something you've put up. So I think beginning with yourself and really understanding who you are and loving that is important. And then when you're in the position where you can make somebody else feel accepted, I just think it's important to always think, how do I want to make that person feel? How do I want to feel, and how can I make that person feel the same way? So that's, for me, that's what helps me in both those different situations.
I'm hearing somewhat of a self-awareness, self-reflection piece there. Nice. Thank you. Mary Catherine, Emma?
I feel at the end of the day, everyone has their own opinions, and you never want to be closed off to what other people think. You don't want to say, oh no, you're wrong. Like, you want to be open and hear what other people have to say, and maybe they agree with you, maybe they don't, but you never want to be so closed off. And what Divine was saying, like, self-love is so important, and people don't realize that. And yeah, it is like, it's like cheesy, but it's true, and nobody like thinks about it that way. So I think that's so important.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, it goes back to the old, not old saying, but if you act like you're confident, people are gonna believe that you're confident. So if you act like, or if you are completely okay with yourself and acceptant of yourself, then people will come to know the real you and therefore can accept you. Like, I'll use the example, there's this certain summer camp that I've been going to since I was 6. And until recently, I never felt that I was 100% myself at that summer camp. Like, I felt like I had to mold to those other people. And that's why I never made real friends there, because we'd be friends and then leave and like, wow, you're a whole nother person. Well, I was never confident with myself there. So people would never get to know the real me. So I really do think it starts with yourself.
I think an important question to ask, and I love to stop and think about this all the time, is where are you getting your worth from? Because if you're not getting it from yourself, or like for me, I also get it religiously, but if you're not getting your worth from you and you're getting it from the people around you, it's going to drive you crazy. If you're getting your worth from your grades or what your friends think of you or your status on this team or this club, it's going to drive you crazy, because we all fail at the end of the day. I mean, I got a D the other day, and that hurt. It really did. But getting your worth from things that are like that, it's not going to help in the long run, and it's definitely not going to help your mental health.
Nice. Thank you. Well, team, I just want to say thank you for sharing your brilliance, getting some this very thought-provoking comments, and getting people thinking leaving here today. So mission accomplished. Thank you so much. And can't wait for our next discussion. Thank you so much, team. Have a great week. Stay safe. Realiteen's check time around social acceptance. First of all, we heard the group say that we all form groups or cliques where we all think, look, and act the same. Secondly, there's a huge difference between tolerance and acceptance. Tolerance is being somewhat neutral, voicing how you may agree with another's perspective, almost to the point of being somewhat superficial. Whereas acceptance is more about embracing others' perceptions, opinions, and values. Thirdly, don't be someone you're not in order to be socially accepted. Be true to self first. Team, leaving here today, some thoughts. First and foremost, let's all practice these principles of empathy, curiosity, in order to expand our connections. Many times we interact with people who act, look, and behave like us. But in order to expand our social acceptance, let's widen our network of friends. Let's get out of our comfort zone, engage with different groups on social media. The team reminded us of the power of knowing self. Self-awareness, self-reflection is the foundation of social acceptance. That foundation will give us the permission to accept and value others, therefore building broader, healthier connections. Bottom line, we can't love another until we love ourselves first. Until next week, let's talk. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to Realiteen Talks on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, and leave a review or comment. We'd love to hear from you.